everybody. This is Nik and Adinah Johnson.
Hey.
Hey, ma'am. So, we have had the good fortune, we've been blessed enough to be together for some time. If we count from the day that you swept me off my feet, we have 26 years? 26 years in, we have been married. You trying to...
No, I'm like, swept you off your feet. I'm trying to figure out if you're trying to say I chased you.
No, you swept me off my feet as far as like, you amazed me, at first sight. That's how you swept me off my feet.
Yeah.
So in that time, there have been some changes.
And how many? 26 years, yeah.
26 years. Like for instance, when we met, I did not have all of this, and I had something up here when we first met.
And you had a cute afro.
Yes, ma'am. I had the pick with the fist on it and all that. So I had it. But changes happen in life.
Yeah.
Changes happen to individuals in relationships. So those changes impact those individuals that are in that relationship. So the topic of what we're going to discuss here is, changes. We cannot be stagnant in what we're doing. I want to say, I'm pretty confident that it is Muhammad Ali who said that if you see someone at 50 who's the same as they were at 20, they have wasted 30 years of their life.
Yeah.
And so changes are required, but at the same time, those changes can impact our relationships.
So what changes are you considering? What changes are you referring to?
I think they can be small changes or they can be large changes.
Okay, give some examples.
So for instance, let's talk about small changes. My wife has always been a fan of most seafood. She really has been. Recently, things have started to change. She's like, you know what? I'm kind of falling out with shrimp. I'm like, what? You falling out with shrimp? And she's like, oh, I can kind of do them fried, but like other than that, I'm just not feeling them. Okay, so that's a small change, right?
I know, because I had those shrimp that they said were like lobster, and I was like,
You didn't like them?
They taste fine the first time, but I didn't want to have them again. It's fine to try it.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was like, I gave them to the kids.
Okay, I got you. So, so that's something small, but that's a change just over time. Your taste buds change. You might want to, your body might change. We have different dietary changes.
Yeah.
If you and your spouse might have a thing where, once a week you all go and have, ice cream. Well, what happens if somebody becomes lactose intolerant?
Yes, what happens?
All right, that's just a change, But then also we have changes that are a little bit more significant.
Okay.
Changes like, for instance, a change in religious beliefs. Say for instance, oftentimes you see individuals when they got married, both of them may have been very much into the church or their religion.
Or very much not into church.
Or very much not into it. And over time, those individuals who may have been closely involved in the church may start to not have that type of engagement. Or somebody in that relationship might want a desire to start going to church. And now there's a situation where it's like, hey, you know what? Sundays we used to always go down to our little spot and have breakfast and things like that. Or we would go to the football games and tailgate. Now it's like every Sunday you want to go, to church or whatever. That's a change. That's a little more significant than, Adinah not liking shrimp. So the thing is that, okay, well,
because how does me not liking shrimp affect you?
Because you cook. That's why. You do the bulk of the cooking. So what you doing the bulk of the cooking, it impacts everything.
Okay.
So we really want to make sure that that's one of the changes. So those are small things, those are large things. But let's talk about it though. Change is inevitable, right? I mean, at some point we will change. Even if there aren't necessarily things like choices that we make, our bodies are going to change.
Yeah.
That's just it. And so when we make those changes, we have to look at how they're impacting our relationships. Okay. So there are even situations where individuals change and say, you know what? I no longer identify with the gender in which you married me.
Wow.
It happens. Okay. So now you're changing. So how do we navigate this in our relationship?
Mic drop.
I mean,
Mic drop.
Those things happen. So how do you navigate that? And I think the first thing we have to think about.
That is a major change.
Yeah. So first thing we have to think about is that, okay, in our changes, who is it impacting?
Right.
Some changes might not impact anybody else at all. So say for instance, if I want to get up early and maybe start working out before everybody gets out of bed or whatever, that's not really impacting everybody for the most part. So that's pretty much just something that's impacting me.
Well, I don't agree with that, because if you want to get up and work out and I don't work out, then it's like, well, now you're putting your health. And I think as a couple we have to
clean it up. I want to hear it. Come on.
As a couple, we have to go with that person. So if you're putting your health, as far as a priority, then I may need to prioritize my health as well. Because my thing is, if you're waking up every morning going to the gym, are you still going to want to be with me and I'm a couch potato?
Well, at that particular point, you have to realize that there's some changes you need to make.
See there you go.
But
so that's the point.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. Because I'm like, okay, I'm making a change. The only thing in that situation I see that could impact you is like, okay, if I'm getting up earlier, maybe I'm like going to bed a little bit earlier, so we might not have time to come together. Like maybe if we hung out after the kids went down, like watched a movie or something.
But I think that's why you have to grow with your spouse. I think if there is an opportunity where you want to do something different for your health, maybe stop eating meat or going to work out or doing things like that, then that's where you have to have a conversation. Okay. So if you do want to make some changes that are not required, like for, that are just your body changes, if you want to make some changes, you may want to have a conversation about it.
Okay. So is it safe to say that all changes impact your relationship, but to various extents?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So there's some that's small, some that are large. And so what we have to ultimately realize is that, hey, it's my changes, detrimental to our relationship. And even when it's not detrimental, as being the mate, spouse of that person who is changing, look at it through a filter that doesn't have any bias to it. Like for instance, Adinah just said, okay, if you decide to get up and go to the gym and I'm over here looking like a couch potato, I don't want you going, because you might start getting yourself together and then, hold on, I don't want you going because you might get yourself together and all of a sudden you might feel like, I might start becoming self-conscious about myself and insecure, because you might start losing weight. You might start having more self-confidence in yourself. And so you might want to try to shoot that down.
That's your business. You better get up and go.
Yeah, but that's not cool. But some people look at individuals trying to make changes and have that fear. That, I know individuals who don't want people to go to college, or it might be a housewife or a homemaker who decides to go get a job because they have insecurity because they might go out there and meet somebody. And so like, no, I don't want you working, or I don't want you going to school. So it's things like that happen. So what we have to do is understand that changes will happen. Yeah. And ultimately, are those changes best for that person and for our relationship? Right. And once, looking at it from an unbiased perspective, if it is best for that person or best for our relationship, support that person. Right. And be understanding. Somebody might get to the point you're like, I don't really care about, the flashy clothes, the flashy shoes, or, going out. I really want to start to focus more on long-term things. Instead of spending this extra money going out and buying clothes, let's go ahead and just save this money, invest this money, pay off some debt. That's a change ultimately, I would say, for the better. Yeah. But the other person might still enjoy those things and be like, okay, I don't want to do it. So that's a change. All right, what are you going to do with it? You got to work through it. You got to talk. You have to ultimately see, hey, is this something that is somewhat selfish? Is this a selfish change? Or is this something that's better for that person and for our relationship and our family?
So you share one of my changes. What are one of your changes?
Okay, I'll tell you this. This is one of my changes, probably, and I don't know if it's really a big change. I've never wanted to work my entire life. Right. At all. And I've always kind of said, hey, by the time I reach 50, I would like to shut it down. And so I think probably over the last few years, I've probably changed a lot more about really being like really intentional about that. And just really being like, hey, you know what? Let's track this more. Let's do that more. So I think I'm changing that. And that's ultimately impacting us.
Yeah. And I support you with that. That's not an issue. I think some of the changes we've made too is when we were younger in our marriage, we didn't like to go out that much. We were fine being home 24/7.
We go out more now.
We go out a lot more now. And it's like, before we were just happy being in our home and, but we didn't have kids. So now we both do that going out. You know, you'll go out with your friends, I'll go out with my friends, and that's just much more important for us now. And then we go out together too, but we just really make a point to, you know, that's a major change that we've had. And I think if we didn't communicate about it, or if we weren't together on that, that could create a problem.
You could, definitely. So it's important that as those situations change, well, I mean, literally, it's a journey. And if you think about any road trips you go on, you know, you can start off in sunny Florida, and if you're going up to Maine, you're gonna see a lot of different things.
Yeah.
Things are gonna change, and literally, that's what your relationship is. It's a journey. So basically, you just have to navigate through it the best that you can, and just understand that things will change. I think first thing is that no matter what changes, be open to it and explore, you know, the intention behind that change, and ultimately how it will impact your relationship. So.
And I think the person that's making the changes, I mean, it could be a one-sided change, but I think when there's a communication, or when your spouse comes to you and talked about it, be open and be willing to listen to how that's making them feel. You know, case in point, the example that you gave, waking up early in the morning, going to the gym, you know, communicate, you know, well, I feel like you know, you're not going to find me attractive and X, Y, and Z. Just have that conversation and, you know, be open to it.
Yeah, that's true. I got you. Well, that is changes, and just be mindful of it, be open to it. So that's it. This is Nik and Adinah Johnson. If you have not, we would ask that you would like, share, and subscribe. If you have experienced any changes, which I'm pretty sure you have, share below and how you navigated through those with the significant other in your life. As always, as we sign off, we ask that you would take care of yourself and that you will keep loving one another.